the Kings going up 2-0 in their series against the Golden State Warriors. Low scoring affair, which is not what you would typically expect from these two teams. And I'm saying low scoring, even though it was 114 and 106, because both teams last game had over 120. But yeah, this game kind of had everything, really. It was so sloppy to start the game. Sacramento couldn't hit any threes at all, and the Warriors would just turn the ball over. I think they had like 12 turnovers in the first 16 minutes, which I feel like is something the Raptors would never, ever do because they don't pass that much. But yeah, I'll start here. How worried are you for the Warriors and the fact that they're down 2-0 for the first time since, Steph Curry in this whole era?
Yeah, they've never been down 2-0 in a series before. And, that speaks a lot to their ability to bounce back, but also the fact that they've never really been, count the number of times they've been an underdog in a series on one or two fingers, right? Like when you're the champions until you're not the champions. Mm-hmm. And yeah, short of the Raptors and the one Cavs year, they've been the favorite all the way to the end. So, it's interesting to see them backs against the wall like this. It's going to be especially interesting if they don't have Draymond Green available for Game 3. There is concern for sure, not in anything. Like they could absolutely win 4 of these next 5 games and win the series. I wouldn't be incredibly surprised, but the being down 2-0 to me isn't really about they haven't faced the adversity of being down 2-0. I think it highlights that they're not as good as the older versions of the Warriors. Mm. And there is a lot of, if you dig into the numbers this season, if you even look at some of the way these first 2 games have gone, if Steph is not on the floor, they have nothing. And I love Clay, and obviously Wiggins is, still working his way back, but it's great to see him back on the court. And there are some depth guys that I really like on this team, but offensively, if they don't have Steph Curry's creation and his gravity, like we're at a point now where even Wiggins and Clay combined to go 7 of 18 on threes, and Gary Payton II chipping in with threes, which he doesn't do. Yeah. Like that's still not enough offensively on a night that Steph doesn't have it from 3. So I just think that the floor is much lower than it has been in the past, where in the past on a rough Steph night or a rough Clay night or whatever, everything else was so solid defensively and offensively. But Draymond is at this point constantly teetering on the edge of what is too much. And we saw that last night. But I think that also undercuts that or underlines that, Draymond is probably the biggest guy in this playoffs when it comes to, flip the switch. Like this is what we dealt with the Cavs for years as Raptors coverage, right? Is like, all the regular season stuff, all the tape can say one thing, but you have this kind of reserve level of respect of, okay, he could turn it on. They can turn it on when they need to. Right. And I don't think we've seen that from Draymond yet. And he's in his 30s now, and he might miss this next game. And yeah, I know there are some people who have him on their all defense ballot and like very smart basketball people. I don't have a vote, but I don't think he would have cracked my all defense ballot on for the season. And that inability to reach back and get to that level at either end of the floor, and that inability to, it's the Draymond line right now. Eventually it's going to be the Dylan Brooks line. Game 1 of the Leafs series tonight, it's the Michael Bunting line of you can be a pest up to this point, and it's really good because it takes the other team off their game, and your team can kind of rally behind it in he's annoying for another team, but I love playing with him way. But the second you go a quarter of an inch the other side of that line, you're a net negative for your team. And that doesn't happen with Draymond very often, but I thought that was the case last night, even before the stomp. It's something that, so far Dylan Brooks has done a better job. And it's funny to see the highlight going around of someone brought up that there was a play last year in the playoffs where Dylan Brooks got basically like put in the figure 4 and he just went like this to the ref and like walked it off. Mm-hmm. And like, if Dylan Brooks can walk away from that moment and not throw a fit and stomp on someone, like, what are you doing, Draymond? And there are a lot of what are you doing, Draymonds for that moment. But anyway, all of this is to say that Steph, I think, can throw it back at any time he needs to, and he's still that guy at that level. Clay is at least as a secondary scorer at that level, but right now with Wiggins still working some of the rust off, with Draymond Green not finding that switch yet, and some of these bench guys just not looking good. Like DiVincenzo and Poole have been bad.
Oh my goodness. No one frustrates me more than Jordan Poole. Like, he's not even on the Raptors, and I'm mad at him.
Yeah, and I get it.
He would get so many angry react pods, Jordan Poole.
The Warriors have this weird thing where like none of their role players can play at all on the road.
Yep.
And then at home, they're all ridiculous. So maybe they win the next two and those guys have big games. But right now it looks pretty dicey. And I think as much as anything about the Warriors, if there was any like residual Kings disrespect from basketball fans or whatever, wondering if this offense first and offense second team could get it done in the playoffs.
I don't know. Their defense was pretty good. Yes.
Pretty good opening arguments here from them.
Yeah. I mean, first off, let's just get to the Draymond topic. You talk about like, staying short of that line. I mean, he firmly stomped his way over that line. Like,
should we? I know we can't do a video highlight. What if Derek comes in here and we just like reenact it?
I'm good, man. Derek's got like a bunch of kids. They're relying on it.
It's just like it went full like Stone Cold Steve Austin, hands on the ropes in the turnbuckle, just stomping away at him.
It was man. Look, I will say, watching from the Warriors' perspective, like I don't know what caused Sabonis to fall down in the first place, and I don't think it was just purely he was grabbing his face in protection. So I do think he did grab Draymond's ankle. However, that is not a way to respond to being grabbed by the ankle.
No, like
and Draymond clearly flew off the handle.
If he grabbed his ankle to grab his ankle, if he grabbed his ankle because he thought there was a scrum for the loose ball and that was a little bit of an advantage, if he grabbed his ankle purely because there's a foot near my head and I want to, whatever the explanation, you cannot respond by stomping. And then I think he made it way worse for himself in terms of like league punishment and stuff of spending that entire review time like cutting a promo, like acting like he's the baddest man in the world, and it was not that big a deal that he just stomped someone in the chest.
Yeah, that was honestly psychotic from Draymond. I mean, like, again, like, I understand, right? Like, I actually see it from the perspective of Sabonis shouldn't have pulled him in the first place, but that is no way to respond. I also think it's just kind of dangerous, to be honest, in this day and age, to be like going back and forth with the crowd like that, because like it really just takes one incident, and you're really screaming at like tens of thousands of people in that kind of moment. Like, I obviously there are security measures put into place, but like realistically, there's like 50 security members in the building entirely.
And they're all worried about E40, so they can't even focus on
of course. So like, there's that aspect. I just think that it just all comes across as really unhinged. Not to mention the fact that like it was a close game in the fourth quarter once again. You need Draymond out there, even though he's being like this, and now there's a real risk that he gets suspended. In fact, it'd be kind of disappointing if he doesn't get suspended.